Welcome, I'm Miss Doll. This is a video on noses. Now, as you know, there are many kinds of noses, many angles of noses, many builds of noses, and lots of tips on how to draw noses out in the world. So my humble submission to add to that is start with the circle if you're building without a grid reference, and then you want two smaller circles on either side for where the nostrils are. If you don't see the full nostril, particularly bolding and darkening that line underneath where the nostrils are, bang, great way to give it some depth. Something that's particularly hard about noses is so much of how you show what they are, where they are, how much they come off of the face is shading. There's not nearly as many distinct lines as maybe for an eye. I often bring the outside of the nostril underneath the dark part to kind of show a little bit more of that depth and give some perspective beyond just that dark line. So yes, just be aware of where your light is coming from, and the bottom of the nose is often kind of three spheres hanging out together, overlapping to create a nose shape. And pay attention to any shadows that form underneath the nose too, which will also help give a sense of place for your nose. And how it relates to other facial features will of course come in handy. Another thing to consider is the angle that you are looking at the nose. Is it straight on, which is kind of what the first nose was, or is it from an angle? So you can see I have a little value scale. I'm going to use this as my reference, ding, because I really wanted to make sure that you could see how I was using this grid and everything. So just like you, I started out with a contour, and then I started to go in with my colored pencil. I always start in the darkest spots with my colored pencil, even though I start lightly, just to make sure that it's not going to be a problem later on. And again, similar to how I did the top, I'm just going to make it slightly darker towards the darkest part of the nostril, which may depend on how your nose is. Like if you have a flashlight underneath your face for this photo, obviously the light would be different than having the standard like light coming from above. So again, it's pretty crucial in my opinion to get the full form of the nostril coming, not only to show the darkest part, but coming around towards your face and how that kind of tucks under on your cheeks. And it's really crucial to remember those core forms. So the three spheres of the ball of your nose and the two nostrils and how light is affecting it. So in this, judging by the shadow under the nose, light is coming from the upper left, and that will affect how I draw every part of this nose. So it's super important how the nose kind of joins up on the cheek. It's usually going to be darker just because the bridge of the nose is always going to be catching more light. Just like how that's where, I don't know about you, but that's where I get sunburned the most easily. So one thing I'm doing is to curve the lines over the nose to build form and really to make note for myself of how that is curving so I could better understand what's happening. It does matter what direction you color, what direction you add this value, and that will help viewers kind of buy into your drawing as, ah yes, this two-dimensional piece of paper, that sure is a 3D form. Let's go with that. Yes, so as I say, being very careful of your shadows, but very aware, like as much caution as may come with making sure you don't go too dark in a light area. When you know that it's supposed to be dark, go for it. Push those values because it'll really help the brights and the highlights pop back up. I don't want you to fear the nostrils, just be cautious with them, yes. Which is just general life advice. Now I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the Copenhagen blue and give myself a little bit extra depth. And it might seem strange that there's so much light underneath the bottom of the ball of the nose, but it will help contrast the darkness of the nostril. And if you look really carefully, there is reflected light along that part of the nose. So I'm not just making it up. which is an important key. It's really there. And again, just make sure that you join your nose together with your face as a whole, and you will be golden. Obviously, this is a very specific nose at a very specific angle. So I hope that it may have been helpful to see how I was thinking and going through that with the grid involved as well. But if you have trouble with your own nose, that is fine. I would be happy to help with that as well. Good luck, my chickadees. I look forward to your noses.